Yeah, the Mahoning County Children's Services is governed by a board of 9 citizens. They're the ones who set the policy for children's services here in this county. And they have considered this issue, and they formally acted on that issue last Tuesday. They talked about it, and they voted to officially oppose issue 3, and they've authorized me to speak on their behalf in that regard.
Okay. Yeah.
They're primarily concerned that the legalization of marijuana may lead to increased use and abuse of that substance, and they understand and accept that this will probably negatively affect parenting. They also believe that and are in agreement with most of the drug and alcohol addiction boards where they say that marijuana negatively impacts the physical health of adolescents. In fact, disproportionately impacts adolescents and children. They're concerned that if marijuana is legal, that may lead to more accidental poisonings by children that now have access to marijuana in the form of edibles that are indistinguishable from other products that don't contain marijuana, like gummy bears or candy, things like that. And finally, they're concerned that the legal availability of marijuana may make it easier for adolescents who are actively seeking to use marijuana to obtain it. Yeah, I understand the argument and what they're saying. When we look at parents who use illegal substances, apart from just the dangers of using the substance, by virtue of the fact that they're illegal, comes with it a risk of arrest, incarceration. Sometimes use of substances that are branded illegal makes it more difficult to secure employment or housing. Sometimes you're precluded from obtaining government subsidized housing if you have an addiction to an illegal substance. And I understand that argument. My experience is that the impact that marijuana has is defined more by the way it alters your brain as opposed to the risk of incarceration that comes along with that. We don't see a lot of people that have warrants for marijuana possession. We don't spend a lot of time helping people get out of jail solely because of marijuana. So I think that while there may be some tiny validity to that, it's far outweighed by the actual detriment of making this substance readily available. Okay. We always work cooperatively with law enforcement. A lot of the problems that bring families to our attention also involve crimes. But when we do work with law enforcement, we defer to them on the legal aspects and the law enforcement aspects of it. We're there when we work with them to respond and assist. And I will defer to Sheriff Green. I mean, I can't think of anyone more qualified to answer those questions than him. Well, either way this goes. Child safety is certainly Mahoning County's Children's Services' first priority, and we will continue to assess families, assess the impact that this substance has on families, the way we always have. And we will make sure that parents are able to safely and appropriately parent and care for their children. Marijuana, like any other drug, does impact a parent's ability in a number of levels. Obviously, the first is their judgment and their ability to make appropriate decisions, whether sometimes it inhibits them from even being awake during it. We saw one pretty highly publicized case where a gentleman drank a bottle of vodka while he was the sole caregiver for the children. I think a 2-year-old fell out of a window. So the incapacitating parents at critical times is important. The inability to, sometimes people who are addicted to these substances will put their need to obtain that substance above other needs, what we call environmental neglect. They will spend their money on the illegal substance as opposed to food or rent or the other basic necessities for children. And then sometimes when you're under the influence of some of these substances, your temper's inflared, and there's more likely that you'll lash out and physically harm your children.
Mm-hmm.
along with all of the other aspects we talked about earlier. If you're using illegal substances, you're not able to sometimes obtain a job, not able to get housing, not able to apply for benefits, things like that. I think it will have an effect on our day-to-day operations. I do believe that because marijuana is so prevalent, making it more prevalent will increase the usage for all the reasons that we talked about. There isn't, honestly, a lot of scientific studies out there. We've come across a couple that have addressed the specific question of how does legalization of marijuana impact child welfare. And the few studies that we have reviewed do indicate a positive correlation between the enhanced or the increased marijuana use and incidents of physical violence against children. I haven't seen studies, but what I have reviewed are most of the, this would be an issue for Ohio's Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services, and almost all of them unilaterally say that marijuana use is not benign. There are physical ramifications, and those physical ramifications are more prevalent, more damaging to the adolescent brain than they are to a fully developed adult brain. And my board we're going to defer to their judgment. They're the ones that have done all that research, and we accept their expertise in that area.